Welcome to Business Prowess with Raphael and Juanita. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. We'll talk to experts and business leaders. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Raphael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Juanita Cap is a public speaker who was in the ministry for 15 years. She has extensive knowledge of various topics such as leadership and communication, and has emceed many executive and academic events. Juanita is the founder of 2 unique shows. Her life motto is never give up.
Wow, Todd, thank you so much for joining me on Business Prowess. Juanita is not going to be able to join us today, but I am super excited to talk to you about so many different ideas, but one of them being Facebook ads that convert. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Absolutely. Hey, doing all right. Doing pretty good today. So thank you for having me.
So talk to us. Why is it that so many people can't get it straight with Facebook? What is it about Facebook that
Yeah, well, you think about the journey that somebody takes with a new online business, right? If they are transferring, like if they're taking a current expertise or a skill set, if they've had a business offline and now they're trying to take it online, it's a completely different world, right? Especially if you've worked as a consultant, as a coach, offline. A lot of your business probably came from foot traffic on the street. It may have come from, print advertising. It may have come from referrals. And so that type of traffic converts very differently from online traffic on social media, right? Where it's a lot more competitive. So it's not like you're just competing with local businesses. You're now competing with a worldwide audience and worldwide competition, and you got to be a lot more competitive. And so your copywriting needs to be on track. You need to and it's not just the ad, but it's also what happens after they click on the ad. And so a lot of times people, their first ad is, they create an ad and it goes to their website, and the website doesn't have much on it aside from a contact page. And then they wonder why they're not getting clients. Well, it's because you're competing with people who have these funnels that are built out that are designed to convert traffic. And what you have is a website that doesn't convert much of anything other than warm referrals, right? And so that's typically the first problem we run into. The other problem is that you have people now who are starting Facebook ads that they have absolutely no business experience, right? They're starting an online business for the first time. They bought a course from somebody that taught them how to get rich quick. And, now they're getting into ads, and, they didn't read the terms and policies, and now their Facebook ads account got shut down. Or they're doing something that is in compliance with Facebook ads, but they're under the impression that they can just run traffic to a sales page and people will just buy. Like you walk into a Walmart and you buy a t-shirt. Well, people don't buy products online the same way that they buy products in a store, right? You think about spending $50 to go and take your family out for fast food, right? People don't have to think about making that decision, right? It's just like, okay, yeah, we're hungry. Let's go out and get McDonald's. It's like a $50 meal now for a family of 4. And they don't think twice.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because I don't frequent those places, even for a family of whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Like if somebody wants to get pizza or burgers or something like that, absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. And if you go to a real restaurant, right, where there's a server and you have to tip, then you're talking $60, $70, $80. So
per person.
People, well, sometimes, yeah. But people don't really think too much about spending that money on something like that. But when it comes to spending that same money 50, 80 bucks online for an online course, or for, a membership, or for, some sort of a service, maybe a software or whatever it is. Well, now, they think about it, they do comparison shopping, and there's a lot more that goes into that decision, even though it's the same amount of money,
Mm.
right? And so your marketing has to be much better online, especially when you're putting ads behind it, because you're running ads to a cold traffic they've never seen you before, they don't know who you are, um, and you're competing in the same space as multi-billion-dollar companies, right? Who are also advertising. And so you're competing with Pepsi, you're competing with Tesla, you're competing with Ford, all these other companies that have these huge marketing budgets, and they've got professional graphics and professional copywriters. You're competing in the same space, right? Along with millions of other small business owners who are just like you, who are competing for that same audience as well. So there's a lot going on there. And if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, it's real easy to blow a bunch of money and not get any results for it.
Mhm. When we consider online presence, right? Because you have trackers, right? So, for
Mhm.
example, recently I was interested in something, and no matter where I go, man, that is following me. I get
Mhm.
tiny little ads, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, wherever I go, they're following me. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do they know? So
Yeah.
that's one of the key ingredients that we have to um, it, not only explore, but be able to know where to put it and how to put your tracking cookies and so forth on the website, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing, is that the tech gets in the way. So a lot of times when we have a client comes in that they've tried Facebook ads before, and they show us their ad metrics and everything is off. It's like, well, these numbers don't make sense, right?
Mm.
And then we go into, okay, so exactly what happened? What is the ad for? Where did they click? When they click, where did they go? And then we look at the pages, and it's like, okay, well, your tracking cookie is on every single page, and that's why it's showing that you have 100 conversions when you really had zero, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Or
right.
something like that, or you didn't have the tracking cookie, right? All right, and you ran the ads, and and that's another problem, is that if you don't install that tracking pixel correctly, and you run, for example, Facebook ads, right? And what Facebook tries to do is it tries to optimize for people who are actually converting. So if you don't install that tracking pixel correctly, and somebody clicks on the ad, and then they go to your website and they actually do opt in, or they actually do buy, that's valuable information that Facebook needs in order to optimize your ad. And so if that information is missing, what Facebook sees on their end is that, okay, somebody clicked and then they didn't buy. So that person must not really be interested. Let me look for somebody else,
Mm.
right? Versus when you do have it installed correctly, now Facebook sees that, okay, somebody clicked and then they actually bought. Okay, so that's a positive indicator. Let me see what this person, what are this person's interests? What have they clicked on before? What are the things I can find in common with this person, and find other people like that, right? And Facebook has over 100,000 different tracking points that it looks at in order to find people who have things in common with people who are actually interested in your offer.
Mhm.
And so installing that tracking cookie is incredibly important, because that's how Facebook identifies people who are going to convert the best for the ad that you're running.
Mm. I mean, there's so many metrics that you can run when you're doing just even starting your ad, right?
Mhm.
And it's almost like getting into a cockpit, and all you know how to do is drive a car, and you have like, you have your drive, your reverse, your neutral, your park, and all of a sudden you have 1,000 controls. So why is it important to have someone like you in their corner?
Well, it's just like anything else, right? I mean, you do martial arts. I mean, imagine if somebody tried to learn martial arts just from watching a movie, right?
Mm.
Like you can mimic the movements, but you're not really going to be effective.
Right.
Versus, walking into a dojo and learning from an actual instructor, and actually, learning by doing, right?
Mhm.
So that's number one, is that you're going to learn a lot faster and you're going to get results a lot quicker. But even aside from that, it's just, when you're trying to figure things out by trial and error and by, free videos on YouTube or whatever, it's going to take you a lot more time, and you're going to waste a lot more money trying to learn what you could have learned in a fraction of the time. And it's not just the money lost in, wasted ad spend. It's the money lost in time and clients and sales as well. Right. So for example, if it takes you 3 months to figure this out, it's not just 3 months of ad spend. It's 3 months of, hey, we might have been able to get you to $10,000 or $20,000 per month within that first month. And by the end of month 3, you could have had $60,000 versus you're still struggling along and you're making less than 10, right? So it's also the lost revenue as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, when we're considering how much you're gonna spend, it's all based on there's a couple of different things that we can do, right? Based on traffic, based on who we're targeting, based on even the demographics, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that you can target the audience that you're looking for. So the very first way, like if you have no audience to begin with, like if you're starting from scratch, we work with a lot of people in this situation where you have no existing audience, you have no influence, you're starting from scratch, and you need to start somewhere. So the easiest place to start with ads is what we call interest-based targeting. So that's where you look at the targeting options in Facebook, and you're finding people who have an interest in your niche, right? So, for example, if we were looking in the fitness niche, if you have a weight loss program or a fitness program, some of the targeting options in Facebook would be weight loss. Another one might be fitness. Another one might be Jillian Michaels. Another one, and there's personalities, there's magazines, there's publications, there's all sorts of ways that you can identify. There could be other brands that they're interested in. So if there's if there's a brand of supplements that they might be taking, you could find that brand and find people who have an interest in that, and target those people. It might be a certain supplement, so it might be protein powder or whey protein. I mean, there's so many different targeting options on Facebook that can identify your target audience and give you a place to start with. So that's one. Once you start generating leads, like that's a first step, is generating traffic and generating leads. And as long as you have your pixel installed correctly, then you can start to build your own audience. So as you start to generate leads, the next part of that is creating a lookalike audience of everybody that has opted in to your offer, right? So if it's a lead magnet or a join my newsletter or whatever it is, right? Some sort of freebie offer is typically what we start out with. So anybody who's opted in Facebook, what we do is we create a custom audience. We say, hey, look at all these people and then find more people who are similar to this. Okay, and so that's called a lookalike audience. And so we can do that with people who have become a lead, who have joined your email list, or who have visited your website. Once you start making sales, we can create a lookalike audience based off of that and go a step further. And so now we look at all the people who have purchased from you, and we create a custom audience in Facebook for that. And then we create a lookalike audience on that custom audience and say, hey, everybody that's purchased from us, find more people who are similar to those people. And then we run ads to that.
So that's an important aspect that you just talked about, right? Similar people, because they have already purchased. So we want people who are going to make purchases, think about, do you want window shoppers or do you want people who actually are going to buy? Nothing wrong with window shoppers, right? Yeah,
well, and here's the thing is that in any given audience, there's only about 3%, roughly 3% of your audience that is ready to buy or join right now. Okay. There's another, and these are general numbers, right? There's another 67% of your audience who are in your target market, but for whatever reason, they're just not ready to buy or join right now. Right? The timing might be wrong. The finances may not be there. They might be in an earlier phase of the buying process, right? Where they're still discovering, they're still, weighing their options. So whatever it is, the majority of your audience is just not ready to buy or join right now. That doesn't mean that you don't want them. You still
Right.
want to get them right now. And what we do with those is we nurture them, right? So we keep them on our email list and we email them regularly. We put them into a Facebook group and we create content for them in the Facebook group. We get them to subscribe to a podcast or a YouTube channel, and then we create content for them there so that we're always in front of their face. That way, when they are ready to buy and join, you are one of the first brands, or you are the first brand that they think of when they start looking seriously at buying and joining. And that's a big part of being successful and having a positive ROI in your business, is nurturing that audience that isn't quite ready now, but they will be in the future.
Yeah, because you never know where people's situation changes, right?
Yep.
Also, even if they didn't buy with you and they bought with a competitor, if you will, right? Or someone else, down the line, they may go, this is not working. I remember Todd, and he's been emailing me and so forth. Let me look into it further, because I belong to his Facebook group and I like what they're doing. And the other people that I went with, I thought that was the right purchase. Maybe it was cheaper, right? And a lot of people, they go for cheaper. They don't go for quality. Everybody
Mhm.
thinks the wrong way. And I believe, me personally, I'd rather pay more and have quality and know that it's going to be sustainable over time.
Mhm.
Then listen, if you're going to buy something and use it once and throw it away, great. But if you're going to use something and you want it to last, then I think it's worth paying a little bit more, sometimes a lot more, just so that you also, reliability, I believe, is part of everything that we're talking about. Also sustainability, right?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And that's a whole nother discussion about
Mm,
pricing of your program or your pricing of your services, is that, when you look at the cost of ads, whether you're selling a $1 offer or you're selling a $10,000 offer, the cost of your traffic is the same.
mm,
Okay, it doesn't affect the cost of your traffic. Um, so you don't want to, if you're paying $1 per click, right, and you're selling a low ticket offer, well, your profit margins are going to be very small, and depending on your niche, you may not even be making a profit on that first sale, right? So,
right.
so,
Might be
you,
losing,
so I
right?
mean, the trend now is towards more quality and higher quality programs, and you're charging more for those because even the people that you work with, right? If you think about the mentality of a low ticket buyer versus someone who's willing to pay for quality and pay for a better experience and pay for the result, right? It's like the difference between somebody who goes to the bargain lot at for buying a car, and they're looking at a $3,000 vehicle and they're haggling on the price to
Right.
take $300 off of it, right? That versus the type of person that walks into a Lamborghini dealership, do they haggle on the price? No, they see what they want and they pay cash, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that's the difference between a low ticket and a high ticket buyer. And a lot of online business owners are realizing that right now. And so that's why they're providing more quality, and they're raising their prices to provide a better experience for their customers.
Mm, absolutely. So, I've seen a lot of programs out there with a money back guarantee. And sometimes that, you have people who are the low money ticket buyers and they're like, oh, I'll use it for the 30 days and then I'll get my money back. But in reality, I think once you enter that realm of I'm in it just for the free, but when the value is truly there, then they forget about the money back guarantee and they get invested in the product or the item, right?
Yeah, I mean, part of a good sales process is reducing risk, right?
Mm,
Minimizing risk, and that's how a lot of marketers do it, is by offering some sort of a money back guarantee.
right.
The problem that I have with most of the people who are doing this, especially with the high ticket programs, right? It's like, hey, get 10 clients per month guaranteed, or you don't pay, or whatever, or your money
Mm,
back. And and they have these just incredibly outrageous claims. When you look at the fine, and the thing is, I've been through the same programs that teach them how to do this, right? There's trainers and coaches out there that are teaching people how to do this, and what they say because they never give a refund. Okay, they never give a refund, because what they do is, on the back end of it, they never write that guarantee into the, first of all, they never write the guarantee into the contract unless you specifically ask for it. Okay. Even when you ask for it, they write it in a way where if you don't get the result, it's always your fault. Right. So it's like, if you don't get 10 clients, it's because, so the way that they would write the guarantee is, in order for us, be able to provide this guarantee, you also need to do your part and fully implement the plan that we lay out for you. And you also must provide sufficient traffic in order to be able to convert this many people, right? And for most of the people who are going into a program like that, they have zero traffic and they have zero idea of how to generate that traffic. And the people who are selling these courses know that, right? But they make the guarantee anyways, and they write the guarantee in a way where they never have to actually make good on it, because it's all in the fine print that, if you don't get the result, it's not their fault, it's your fault, right? And so that's a big problem I have with the way a lot of people are marketing their businesses right now, is that they make these outrageous claims and they write it all into the fine print where they can weasel out of it. And it just, it puts a bad impression on the industry as a whole. That's where people say, oh, it's all a scam, right? Well, yeah, because a lot of people are scamming people like that, because they make these outrageous guarantees and they have no intention of ever making good on them.
Yeah. I mean, I recently did a 30-day thing. It was $1 just to try it. But after that, it would have been $1,800 a month. And I was okay with it. I had no problem with it.
Yeah.
But what wound up happening is they made all these promises. And within 2 weeks, I already knew I don't want to be here. Their promises were not what and then because they've been around for a while, but it was a new program they were bringing out, and they didn't have all the bells and whistles they claimed they were going to have. And they had this little bit of it. And I was like, I would love to be part of this if everything you told me you were going to have was there. And my $1,800 a month, I wouldn't have worried about it. I said, but I can't even pay you $10 a month. It's not worth it. So they were very kind, and they said, yeah, sure, we'll make sure we cancel. But I did, like, within 2 weeks. I said, you know what? I don't even want to wait the 30 days. So I actually reached out on the phone and said, hey, guys, I think there's a lot of potential here, but right now, and I told them exactly what I'm telling you. I said, right now, I don't see it.
Yep.
I said, but hit me up once it's all fully together, and
then
we can have another discussion, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and for low ticket stuff like that, that's fine. Like we've sold low ticket courses before with a guarantee, and we have no problem giving the refund on a low ticket course. It's on the high ticket stuff that it really hurts people. The low ticket stuff, it's not such a big deal. In fact, what we do, anything that's less than $100, we have like a 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked.
Yeah. No, this was $1,800 a month.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a $1 trial, right?
Right. I didn't even ask for the $1 back. I didn't want the $1 back.
Yeah.
Keep the $1. It's, you know what? Yeah. It's okay. It's $1. But I've also in person, I've bought something from somebody who also made a huge claim. And the only reason I went forth with this is because somebody I trusted recommended them.
Yeah.
And that was $500. And I didn't even get my money back. I said, you know what? Cancel me out. I said, it's not worth it. It's what you claim, and then even the gentleman that recommended me, he was apologetic. And I said, hey, listen, I know you and I trust you. That's the only reason I went with this thing. I said, but you know what? Not for me. I said, I thank you. And then the other guys were like, oh, we still want you. I'm like, yeah, no, not going to happen. Because I went on trust, and the trust was based on someone else, but I trusted that you guys were going to do what he said you were going to do. So that didn't work out. But when we consider rebuilding, and I belong to certain organizations that are amazing, and they over deliver, right?
Hmm.
So for me, it's always about a new venture. It's always about seeing opportunities. And if the opportunity seems really, really good, I always do my due diligence, because that's all consumers. It's our fault if we don't read the fine print, right? I always read the fine print. So that's important. Don't sign anything without reading the fine print, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the other part of it too, right?
Mm,
And but again, on the business owner side, like they know what they're doing, right? They know that they're being deceptive. They know that people are
mm,
coming in with one expectation and you're giving them another. And so that's why I personally have and that's why we don't do it, right?
mm.
You don't see that type of thing in our marketing, which means that we have to be incredibly good at what we do in order to be
Of course.
competitive, because we don't make those claims, right? We don't make those outrageous claims. So i- if you're not going to do that, you've got to be much better with your marketing.
Right,
So,
right. So, we have touched a lot on marketing, Facebook, but Facebook owns Instagram, right? So kind of a lot of things go back and forth, but it is still two platforms that you can either just do one or you can do both, right?
mhm,
And that you can do that when you're setting up your ads and all that. There's other places that we can advertise. Obviously, back in the day, it used to be Yellow Pages and Penny Savers, but those things don't necessarily work anymore. And even Yellow Pages went to internet marketing, and they're not doing well.
mm,
Because Facebook, because of Instagram, TikTok, and all these other things where people are spending their money because there's more eyes on it, right?
mhm.
What is it about Facebook that makes somebody even want to buy? When I go to Facebook and I see a million ads come up, and I move away, I don't even bother. And then sometimes I get something like, even Google will say, is this ad relevant?
Mm.
And I'll click no, I'm not interested. Right? So how do we navigate people from scrolling past us?
So there's two jobs of an ad, okay, on Facebook, Instagram, or social media. Number one is to grab somebody's attention and stop them from scrolling. Okay,
Mm,
that is job number one. Number two is to generate the click. Right after they read your ad, after they click, read more, they read the ad, and the next thing is they need to click to get to your website or wherever you want them to go. Okay, those are the two main jobs. The two parts of your ad that accomplish that, or it's three parts. Number one is the image. Okay, the
mm,
image is what stops the scroll. And a lot of times when people come up with an ad image, they're mostly thinking about, okay, what looks nice, what are my brand colors, how do
mhm.
I feature my logo on there, how do I do all this? And the thing is, those things maybe, I mean, they're what you think are important, but they don't
Right.
stop the scroll, right? They don't stop people from scrolling. Some of our very best images that we've used for ads that have gotten the highest click rate are the images that look like they were posted by one of your friends on Facebook. They don't
Mhm,
look like an ad. They're a
mhm,
picture of, me and my wife Leah. They're a picture of us in a kayak on a river, and
mm,
that's it. There's no words on it. There's nothing. It's a family picture that we took for Halloween, right? And
mm,
we've used that for an ad. Those are the things that when people see it in their timeline, they're like, oh, do I recognize those people? Do I know who they are?
mhm,
And it stops them because it's interesting. That is the number one goal. I've even seen ads like, if you who's this guy? Vince. Oh, what was that last name? I forget, but I remember he had an ad that was completely unrelated to his offer,
mm,
because it was an offer about how to generate leads online, and all it was a purple cow in a field.
mm,
and it had nothing to do with what he was marketing, but the whole point was to stop people, catch their attention, and then get them to start reading, right? So that's one thing, is just an image that catches people's attention. And so that's why you want to use big, bold colors. You want to see, what are what is your competition doing? So you want to like look at your competitors online. What are the ads that they're running? What are the posts that they're posting look like? And you want something different, right? You want something different that's going to stop people from scrolling, and so they start reading.
Mm-hmm.
The headline is the second thing. And depending on the placement, there's some placements that you don't see the headline, but in the normal timeline, the headline is important, because that's the other thing that will get people to stop. It's one of the first things that they look at, and it gets them to click on the ad to read more or to watch the video or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the headline is important too, in order to get to stop the scroll and to get them to read the ad. So that's job number one, is stopping the scroll, getting their attention. The second part is to earn the click. And this is where the headline comes in again. And then this is where the actual copy or the text of the ad comes into play. And so that's where you need to know a little bit of copywriting, and you just, some really simple copywriting formulas like PASS, right? Problem, agitate, solve. Identify the problem, agitate the problem, and then and then offer a solution, right? So something just really simple like that. If you learn that copywriting formula, to earn the click, right? Those are the main things that are going to make an ad successful. And so when you look in the back end, in the metrics of Facebook, the two metrics that you want to look at to make sure that your ad is doing those two jobs, number one is your overall click-through rate, right? So you look at CTR all, and that is how many people stopped and actually clicked on the ad. We typically look for that to be 3% or above. So out of every 100 people, at least 3 out of 100 are stopping and they're clicking on the ad to read it. If that number is 3% or better, then you know that your image is doing its job. Okay. As far as the ad copy and the text of the ad, what we look for there is for at least a 1 to maybe 1.5% link click rate, where at least 1 to 1.5% of everybody that sees your ad, 1 to 1.5%, are reading the ad, they're clicking on it, and they're going to your landing page. Okay, as long as we're hitting 1 to 1.5% or better, then we know that your ad copy is doing its job. Okay, so those are kind of the metrics that we look at to make sure that your ad is performing well.
And you talked about images, but Facebook doesn't allow certain images, which is, I believe, good, for like diets. They don't allow you, people to like have a tape measure around somebody or stuff like that, right? Or in a bikini or, things of that nature for an ad. And I think that's a good thing, because it may be giving off the wrong message. Even though the message may say you need to lose weight, but it could be hurtful, I guess, right? I guess that's why they do it. But talk to me about rebuilding, because that's one of the things that you and I were talking about earlier. And you're rebuilding because you were devastated last year, right? And you tell me they're still building in your house, but you are fortunate that you were able to rebuild. So what is it about advertising that helps somebody either start new or just do a 180 and rebuild and make something better, because they see that that's something that they need for their business?
Yeah. So in the online space, right, your business relies on traffic, right? If you have no traffic, you have no business. We often say that a failing business, a failing internet business, all they have is a great product or a great offer to sell, and that's it. A successful business has an audience to sell to, and then they worry about the product later, right? If you've got that audience to sell to, and it's a targeted audience, you could offer almost anything and they would buy from you. Okay. Imagine this the same way as a physical location for a brick and mortar business, whether it's, for example, McDonald's. Okay. If you have a McDonald's in the middle of Times Square, New York, right? And before COVID, it used to be 300,000 visitors per day in Times Square. If you had a McDonald's in the middle of Times Square, New York, versus a McDonald's in the middle of the desert with no roads going to it, it's the same product.
Right.
Which one is going to do better? Obviously, it's going to be the one with more traffic. Now, if you were to replace that McDonald's in Times Square, if you were to replace that with a different restaurant, maybe a Wendy's, or maybe even just a no-name mom and pop burger joint, would it still be more successful than that McDonald's in the middle of the desert? Yes, absolutely would, because Ray Kroc, right?
Supply and demand, right?
Yep. Ray Kroc, one of the founders of McDonald's, probably his most famous quote is that we are not in the burger business, we are in the real estate business, right? That's what makes McDonald's successful, is that they have the best locations, and the best locations have the most traffic. Okay, so in the online world, it's the same thing. If you have no audience, if you have no traffic, you're as good as a Five Guys or a Culver's, or pick the most popular restaurant in town, put it in the middle of the desert, and that's as good as your business is going to get. If you have no traffic and you don't know how to generate that traffic. But if you know how to generate traffic, if you know how to build an audience, then it's like having a business in the middle of Times Square, New York, right? You've got the location. You can fill that location with whatever offer you want, and it's going to be successful. That is the importance of knowing how to generate traffic and learning how to convert that traffic.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, think about Bugsy Siegel, who everybody thought was crazy when he decided to put a hotel in the desert. Nobody saw that vision, but look at Las Vegas now. It's a boom, but it is a crazy person that would put something like that out there, and it cost him his life. Right? Because his girlfriend, according to the story, is the one that embezzled all the money, and they blamed him for it. But she took all the dough. And when you're right, putting something where no one will see it, including your product, right? If you're an online person. So this is why I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. The more you talk, I'm hearing it. And I just want to make sure our audience understands what I'm hearing. And that is, you need to build a community where people hang out. And that's where your Facebook groups come in, right? So how important is it to keep up with that Facebook group? Should that be a priority? Should that be a main part of the business?
Yeah. So in any business, there's four main things that you need to do to build a successful online business. Number one is you need to have some sort of an awareness campaign, right? You need to bring awareness to your business and have a way for people to enter your audience, right? This is what we call it's taking the traffic that you own, or taking the traffic that you control, and taking the traffic you do not control and turning it into traffic that you own. That's what your top of funnel system is for, right? The traffic that you control is paid ads, right? You can turn it on, you can turn it off as you want. You can control the flow. That's traffic you control. Traffic you don't control is your passive traffic. It's your organic traffic. So when you have a blog, when you have a YouTube channel, when you have a podcast, right? People come, they find it organically, they subscribe, but it's controlled by the algorithm. You can't really turn it on and turn it off at will. It either comes or it doesn't, but you can put in the work to create the content, but ultimately you can't just turn it on and off like ads, right? So that's traffic you don't control. You need to take those two sources of traffic, and with your top of funnel system, you turn it into traffic that you own. Primarily, that means building an email list. Okay, there's only three things that you really own online. Number one is your website. Number two is your email list. Number three is your SMS list, your text messaging list, or your phone list. Okay, those are three things that once you build them, nobody can take away from you, and you own those. Your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, your business page on Google, your whatever it is, those are not owned by you, right? You control them, you can start them, but Google can take away your business page anytime they want.
Mhm.
Facebook can take away your ads account. They can take away your business page anytime they want, right? So first thing you need is a top of funnel, build an audience with your email list. We also like to use something like a Facebook group where we have a captive, an audience that we have control over, right? It's not somebody else's audience. It's not something that, for example, like a YouTube channel or a podcast where we can't control, how we reach out to people or if they find it
Mhm.
or whatever, right? A Facebook group is unique in that it's a community of people that we can post in there. We can control what they're posting. We can create events in there. We can do a lot of things to engage that audience that we just can't do elsewhere. So in addition to the email list, we'd like to build a Facebook group because people are already on Facebook.
Mhm.
Uh, the second part of this, so after your top of funnel, the second part of this is what we call our nurture sequence. And so remember when I talked about there's 3% of your audience that's ready to buy and join right now, right? That's the most expensive segment of your audience to advertise to.
Mhm.
The cheapest segment is the nurture audience. It's that 67% that are interested, but they're not ready to buy and join right now. And you need that nurture sequence in order to turn those people into buyers at some point,
Mhm.
right? And so that's what we use our Facebook group for. That's what we use our email list for. That's what we use our text message and phone list for, is to
Mhm.
keep them engaged until they're at a point where they are ready to buy. Right.
Right.
So in our Facebook group, we post in there daily. We do a live stream in there every week to keep people engaged. Make sure that they're commenting, make sure that they're getting value. And so when they are ready to buy, we're the ones that they think about.
Mm.
The
Love it.
third part of your online system is your sales process. So how do you take people from nurture to actual paying client? How do you take people from interested to actually taking out their credit card and swiping it on the on the credit card reader, right? How to get them to actually becoming a customer and a client, and that's what your sales process is for. We typically work with high ticket coaches and consultants and things like that. So a lot of what we teach is, getting people on sales calls and the sales call process. But even for lower ticket stuff, you need to know how to do a sales video, a VSL, right? Video sales letter, in order to, even in order to sell something like a $7 offer,
Mm.
you need a good VSL. If you're selling something in the $100 to $300 to $1,000 range, right? Anywhere from $100 to $1,000, you need to know how to do a webinar, right? It's a little bit more involved than just a VSL because, it's a bigger financial commitment. So we need something like a webinar where we
Mm.
can sell people on that. But there needs to be a solid sales process in place where you can actually convert people who are interested into actual customers, right? And then the fourth part is the traffic, right? And that's the most important part. That's what feeds your entire funnel with people who are targeted, that are in your audience, that at some point, either immediately or some point down the funnel, are going to be paying customers. So
Mhm.
those are the four things you need to have in place.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how all they all work together.
Love it. I mean, wow. So much information. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think anybody who is watching should probably share this with somebody. We have your website has been going down at the bottom. I'll throw it up right now. digitaltrailblazer.com. Go check out Todd and his wife. Leah, you guys are really phenomenal. Leah was on my show the other day.
Mm.
Great tips on both. You guys are like really well connected in the online space. So before we go, is it important for us to have a group? And how about we funnel the buyers into a private group,
Mm.
because now we're getting them to, because they've already bought in. So do they want the sales pitch anymore, or they want to be nurtured more?
Yeah, right now I'd say a private Facebook group, like if you're doing, uh, if you, especially if you're working with personally with clients, like you're doing coaching program or consulting or something like that, having a private group just for your paying customers can be really beneficial because that is where you can get testimonials. Testimonials are incredibly important in doing online sales. They are the equivalent of Amazon reviews for a product, right? Because the thing is, like, the market is so saturated now with almost every niche is just so saturated. The thing that separates one person from another is going to be the testimonials. Whether you can, and whether you can convert with paid ads is going to greatly depend on the quality of your testimonials. And so having a private Facebook group where you can continue to engage with your paying clients and keep track with them and get updates, right? That is really important. What you want to do, because here's the thing, when they actually did some studies on this, they found that the testimonials that were the most believable for people were ones where it was a screenshot of a social media post or a comment or something that someone had made. It wasn't a situation where people where you take somebody's profile picture and then you reproduce it and type it out on a website, right? Because those, I mean, people see that and they think, well, that could have been faked, right? But if you take an actual screenshot of a comment somebody made or a screenshot of a post that somebody made in your group, or take a video, especially video testimonials. If people have, if they create a video and post that in your group, well, that's much more believable. That's much more authentic to people. And so those are the testimonials that we love to get. So if you look at our website and you look at the, the client results section, that's what you're going to see is mostly those types of testimonials. The other thing is that, hot tip, right? If you get a video testimonial, don't just post the video the way it is. You want to create a thumbnail and a headline for it that states the result that person got. Because most people who are going through your testimonials page, they're not going to listen to the whole video, especially if it's long. And so you want to be able to summarize that testimonial in just it's one sentence, right? Learn how Tyler made $120,000 in his first month, right? Something simple like that. Put it on the thumbnail, put it in the headline. Okay. And that way, even if people don't watch the video, they still see that and say, oh, that's really cool. And then they can scroll down and see more of those things. But otherwise, if you just post it the way it is, and it's a screenshot of just somebody's face and nothing else, they don't know the result, right? It doesn't do you any good. So that's one of the things that we teach our clients is how to properly post your testimonials and how to properly gather those. So,
wow, amazing stuff. Todd, I got to tell you, this was very, very informative. Thank you so much for coming on Business Prowess and talking to us about the Facebook business that you are an expert on. And I really appreciate you. And I encourage everybody to go check you guys out. Thank you for today. I really appreciate the time that you took to share with us. So great, great stuff. Thank you, my friend.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
All right. And I need you to come back on some other shows as well. Maybe we'll have your wife on as well. We'll do a whole duo team, right?
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I agree. All right, my friend. Thank you and have an amazing rest of your day.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye-bye.